Hello, everyone outside there in front of the screen. This is my first session in English, and I'm really excited about that because I have a very special guest today. Scott, can you please introduce yourself and tell us why I invited you?
Of course, of course. So my name is Scott Torrance. I'm the founder of a company called Flux Insights, which is I guess, a content marketing company that focuses a lot on visual thinking. And I guess that is the reason you've asked me to come on. Let's discuss this thing called visual thinking, doodling, and what part it plays in business.
Yes, exactly. That's right. And last week you published a wonderful ebook with the title 143 Visuals to Inspire You to Take Action. And I'm also part at this ebook, and a lot of people from the Today's Doodle crew. I hope you are in front of the screen and watching us. So tell us something about this book. It's free at the moment, we have to say, for I think, another week for free download.
Yes, it will remain to be free. What will change maybe is how it's distributed. So it is an ebook at the moment that's available until Sunday night on Gumroad. It is very simply a collection of, as you said, the clues in the title, 143 visuals from over 50 contributors all around the world. As I said to you the other day, actually Germany is the second most downloaded country after the United States. So it was very close to overtaking the United States, but in the last couple of days, the United States have actually edged out. So it is very, very simply just a collection and a presentation of all types of visuals, from doodles to illustrations to sketch notes, presented in their own with very little judgment from me, just presented to allow the reader to gain inspiration and make their own judgment on the images.
I have to. I think I want to read this sentence you put in the introduction. In a world where doodling is frowned upon, I really had to laugh about that, but it's nice. There are people flying the flag, and so you say we will only get better by practicing and exposing our work and learn from each other. So.
And that is part of the reason for the book. The reason for the book is I spend a lot of time doodling, drawing myself, but I also spend a lot of time looking at other people's doodles, because, as you said, it is the only way that we can really improve and gain inspiration by just taking that. Oh, I love how they create that nice line to divide two images. Oh, I'm going to try that. So it is, like Austin Kleon talks about, it's about stealing like an artist. It's about borrowing ideas with respect to help you grow and develop as an artist.
Like we say, copy from the best. Just copy from the best for your practice.
Exactly, exactly. So the point was to bring 100, and 143 is an arbitrary number. It wasn't a goal to aim for 143. That's just where it ended up at, and it had to actually stop at some point, because it could have ended up as 243, 510. It kept on growing arms and legs as I continued to explore all the amazing contributors that are out there.
Where did you find all these contributors?
Well, it started just with my own exploration. So I had in my own head people that I like to refer to a lot: Flickr, Twitter, Instagram. And then once I got that in place, I started to just ask for recommendations. So I would go to the people I like and say, I'd love to put your images into the book. Who do you gain inspiration from? So they would give me one, two, maybe three different people. So as you can imagine, it all started to kind of grow and grow and grow. So at some point, I actually had to say, "Whoa,
Yeah.
now 200 pages long. We're going to have to stop it there." But let me say, there is absolutely no shortage of amazing people creating some truly inspirational images out there. There could be another couple of volumes in this book easily.
So maybe you're going to do that. I remember when we were speaking, it was about 100 visuals or something, and then well, it became more. So maybe we can do that every year. So every year a new edition of the visuals, and keep on promoting it.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about difference between doodling and sketchnoting. I love the collection because we really have doodling and sketchnoting inside, and very good examples also. Um, so can you
Yeah, there's a real
explain
variety.
for the people who have no experience with visual thinking what the difference is?
It's actually a very good question because there's not a lot of clarity, I would say, around all these labels that we put out there. So it was actually something that I had to think about with regards to the title of the book. So I didn't want the book to be 143 doodles. I didn't want it to be 143 sketch notes. I didn't want it to be 143 illustrations, because each of those labels, those tags, have their own assumptions, connotations, everything around them. So I went with the broadest, visuals. So these are all, we can all agree that they are visuals. And there is also the term visual thinking that flows around it. So I think that doodles and sketch notes both are a form of visual thinking. Doodles for me are probably, I lean towards Sonny Brown's definition, these sort of spontaneous markings to support thinking. You know, they're quite spontaneous. They probably touch in a little bit more to your subconscious than your conscious mind. Whereas sketchnoting is a very specific form of expression that was born out of note taking, so frustration around taking of notes. So instead of linear notes, written notes, it's the combination of visuals, writing, hand-drawn typography, all to communicate an idea in a more engaging and ultimately, hopefully, in a clearer manner. So a doodle would sit potentially within a sketch note, and a sketch note can be a sort of a form of doodle to start with. But if I'm being honest with you, I use them sometimes interchangeably, and that's wrong. And I find myself getting confused a little bit in conversation because I just use this doodle as a catch-all term, and it's maybe not correct. So there is a degree of education and learning, I think, that we need to go on. And then part of it is not getting too hung up on labels and just going with your
Yeah, I think I can I understand that. I always think that doodling is has something to do with my creativity. Since I'm a member of the Today's Doodle group, I really notice that I have more ideas, and this process of really doing one doodle every day, and it doesn't count if you are in a good mood or bad mood, have an idea or don't have an idea, just do something. My brain change the way of working. And so when I do a sketch note, it's a little bit more planned, and I make a structure and whatever, yeah, and it's more brain work, not so much creative, because I want them to look good and really have everything inside I want to transport. So this would be my two different, yeah.
Exactly. You see people doodling when they're on the telephone, when they're in a meeting. You know, it's subconscious, it's spontaneous. Whereas a sketch note, you very much, whether it's for yourself or for someone else, you're very aware that you are trying to communicate an idea, and hence the point that it's about ideas and not art. It's not about getting too hung up on how pretty it looks and exactly whether it's perfect, but it's about taking an idea and communicating it in, as I say, in a more engaging way.
Okay,
I
let's.
hope that
I
makes sense to everyone watching.
have. Now we already found a way away from our prepared questions. We have 5 minutes left. I really want to know how this started with you, your visual thinking, and when did you decide to use visual notes, and what is behind that?
So if you'd asked me 10 years ago, 20 years ago as a child, I was always doodling. I was always drawing. And then there's a big chunk of my life where it stopped. Probably call it like, formal education, and that stopped. And you go into the workplace, and as you said at the start, it's very much frowned upon. And then I started to get introduced into the world of visual thinking through people like Alex Osterwalder and Dave Gray with things like the business model canvas. That started opening up my ideas, my eyes to the fact that you can draw in business. It is a validated business tool for clarity of thinking. But it wasn't really until I was sitting in meetings with some senior directors, business owners, and as we were meeting, talking, I was drawing, and I would always be sketching and doodling. And it wasn't until maybe the third or fourth person actually asked if they could keep the doodle after the meeting. And I looked at them and thought, I mean, this is really subconscious, spontaneous scribblings on a piece of paper, but it had real meaning to them because it helped them to anchor to the conversation that we had. And that started making me think about it as a problem-solving tool. So I'd always use doodling to help in one-on-one or one-to-few. So a few people around a whiteboard, let's try and solve this problem and let's use doodling. As I started going into content marketing, I've increasingly started to explore it as a tool to communicate out beyond just the one-to-one. And every time I have created content, be it a blog post or a white paper in written form, I've always kind of done it it always started visually for me. And when I've shared that with people, that's the one that they want. They want the visual, not the written. So repeatedly, when I've shared something in a written form and then visual side by side, the visual one has had up to 3-4 times as much traction and engagement. So I started to think there's something in this, you know.
Yeah, okay, this is what I wanted to ask, but you already answered it. So people they really want the visualization, and they prefer it. Yeah.
They prefer it. Let's not forget, some people are more visual than others.
Yeah, sure.
We are all visual animals at the core. Just the ability to walk into a room and assess what is in that room, people, chair, that is a visual process. But there is something actually just about, we live in a world that's almost attention deficit disorder throughout. We don't have time to sit and read a whole blog post, a white paper. So sometimes it's actually just the visual, there's just enough in it to communicate what you want to get across. And I talk about it, Gary Vaynerchuk introduced it to me as it's a stream economy. We're looking at our phone, streaming through lots and lots of things. We pick up our phone and we go like this. And if all you see is text, 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 and then this big, nice, bright visual comes out, a doodle, it captures your attention and makes you go, ooh, what's that? And sometimes that's all it is.
This was this was the last thing I wanted to ask, and we are really a good team here in the interview. The trend and the importance for the future, because I see it. I also see it like this: that we have so many information and we have so many text and words, and I noticed that people are getting more and more helpless and also sometimes angry about that because they are not, they don't feel able to sort out what kind of information is important and what not. And so, yeah, could you give us one last sentence to the trend, to the future trend of visualization?
So yeah, I think everywhere you look, the use of visuals online increase engagement. Where it becomes quite interesting, so all that very much looks at things like infographics, photographs, polished image. And you have a quick Google, things like Buffer will tell you how much engagement you get off this. Where I think it becomes interesting is where we're talking, these doodles, the more impromptu visuals, offer up a whole other channel for someone to communicate that. So you may not have the skill, the time to sit and create a whole infographic, that may take a couple of days and get all that information, but you definitely have pen and paper. You can pick up a pen, you can pick up a paper, you can scribble down an idea, you can quickly post that on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and you can get reactions back from it. So that's, to me, where it gets quite interesting. And I think that's where we'll see a little bit more of an uptake of these doodles. You see it, I see it on Twitter within quite a small community, but I think it will be adopted a little bit more by business as they realise it's that ability to get their thoughts down on paper, cut through the white noise, and get it out there. It ties into a lot of other wider trends, but I definitely will continue to doodle away and share it, because the engagement we get online, I know yourself as well, is 100 times more than 140 characters of text.
This is the perfect final sentence. I also will continue doodling and sketchnoting. And so I really thank you that you came as a guest here and made this interview. And yeah, want to say goodbye to everyone in front of the screen, and keep on doodling.
Thanks very much. Really enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.